Welcome to As We Go Along for another week. I am your host, Brian Deershaw. The welcoming are back. Bree Forkus, Tom Smaldone, Asa Erlandson, and Max Schwartz. So funny. 4 of my favorite comedians in Denver, and 4 of my favorite people. They're just good human beings. So let's get into this very scientific discussion, and we'll see you on the other side for the plugs.
Hello and welcome to Science This with Dwayne Yoke. I'm Dwayne Yoke. Okay, we're going to get right to it today. Now, I would like to address some questions that have been coming up on our Twitter feed about the name of the podcast. And I do understand that it is very difficult to hashtag with the amount of punctuation that we have in our podcast name. Scientist? ? Science this! ! Now, what we're going to do is that I'm sure that many of our listeners are familiar with HTML. And so rather than including a space, which obviously our podcast name does require, in between science and this, what you're going to do is you're going to do an ampersand and an NPSB. So again, that will be scientist, ! Science, ampersand, NPSB. This! ! Now, today we have some of the most fascinating scientists in multiple fields. Obviously, we don't just focus on one branch of science here. All the way from the macro to the micro is what I like to say. All the way from the macro to the micro. And you don't get much more macro than astrophysics. And today we have a fantastic innovator in thought experiments and space travel. His name is, he barely needs introduction, but you can't see him through your listening device. I'm cracking myself up over here. This is Tard Wallace right here. He is the one and only Tard Wallace.
Yeah, pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you on, Tard.
Dwight, I must say, this podcast, I am a fan. I am a fan. It is. Wow. It is an honor and a privilege to share my brain with you.
Wow. So we're going to be getting into the logistics and also the some very, very wacky, I would say, ideas that have been floating around in the space travel.
Wacky indeed.
Cracking myself up here. We're also going to be speaking with a very renowned zoologist.
Either way is fine. Either way is fine.
Mm-hmm. And your and Tard's work have actually been tying in together recently because you guys have been shooting animals into space together, it sounds like.
Yes, you are hitting the nail on the head. If there were a nail right here, I would bop it.
Which is such a classic catchphrase from the famous zoologist Tina Bopp.
Mm-hmm.
And also joining us, you'll see that there's a theme emerging in today's show. This is a water purity expert. Water purity expert, who's been doing a lot of great work, specifically in the bottom of the ocean.
Yep. Hey, you got to start bottom up.
Front start.
Build a solid foundation. Pure water.
I get it. I get it. And this is Richard Richards. Richard Richards?
Richard Richards.
Richard Richards.
My colleagues call me Rich Rich.
Rich.
You know, it's
That's rich. That's rich.
that's right. Yeah, it's you could go in a couple different ways with the with the joke, but it's all funny.
And as always, here with us is Gary. He will be fact checking us in real time.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you guys honest. Okay, so don't try to slip in anything by me.
Gary, who also does our sound tech. So thank you again, Gary.
Hey, my pleasure.
And
it's a pleasure to be surrounded by big minds. Big minds in the field, always. I love learning.
You're my favorite part of this program.
Great. So
I love it.
now I've brought all of you here because it's clear, obviously, that these animals that you are just shooting off into space, they're going to need to drink something.
Yeah.
And I thought Frank could be of some assistance. Also, I know that you are using some type of water-based propulsion. It's a solid-state water-based propulsion rocket.
Yes.
Great. That was all I wanted to hear. I just wanted to hear a good yes or a no on that one. Gary,
that checks out.
Yeah.
And the rocket is made out of crystal and water, and we've been able to focus the beam. It's amazing.
And what type of crystals are we dealing with here? What
lead crystals.
Red?
Lead.
Oh, lead.
It's funny if you've ever been to your aunt's or an elderly relative's home and looked in a curio cabinet. It's very similar to what you might see in a crystal vase when we've applied it to rocket technology.
Yes, and we are starting with small animals first.
I have heard that, but
we
also
are
rare.
going up in size, chronologically, alphabetically, geographically. We are being extremely organized.
You're using an alphabetical system to geographically sort the size of the animals that not that you're sending. So, for example, you'd be sending animals from small countries first, is what you're saying. Great. Yes. So, what are some of the smaller countries from which you've procured your animals?
We were able to find a peacock spider.
Yes.
Which you're thinking to yourself, what the heck is a peacock spider?
Gary was talking about, weren't you just talking about?
I found some pictures and I was like, what?
That's exactly the reaction that everyone has. That's exactly the reaction that everyone has. It's so funny that you would say that.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I know. It's the meshing of two things that are so utterly different. It's absolutely amazing.
Gary texted me at 3:30?
4 in the morning.
In the 4 in the morning.
I just finished.
It looks as if you killed a peacock and made a spider.
I just finished my business. I have this business.
Gary is my nephew, by the way. He's a good boy. He's growing up smart.
He seems like a great boy.
Yes, he is. So, my understanding is that Rich, may I call you?
Whatever you want to call me. Don't call me Witch.
That's a sandwich establishment that we do. We've been
checked out.
We've been that is a sandwich establishment, and Gary has.
And it sounds like my name.
Yes,
so it all adds up.
Yep. So I understand that you've been working
on the water side.
On the water side of the propulsion. Can you tell us more about that?
Propel small, freaky creatures into the surly grip of outer space, then you need the finest lead crystals, but you also need to pair it with the purest, deepest, darkest water.
Now, Dr. Tard, would you agree that did you call it a sultry grip of outer space?
I believe I said something like that.
Something like that.
It's
Sultry, it's surly.
Surly grip.
The research that we've been doing on space has concluded that it is indeed surly and may also be sultry as well. But
To me, sultry would imply that there's some type of seductive quality to
man has always looked to space,
outer space.
In search of meaning, in search of a partner. Perhaps space is the ultimate.
Yes, yeah. And so I'm thinking how to phrase it. You have some people, it's been are there aliens?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, there are so many different species on Earth that you look at and you say, that's not an animal.
Like a peacock spider. I mean, I was like, what? When I saw a picture of it, I was
Exactly.
like, what?
Where did this come from? Certainly not from any place I've ever seen or known.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't even talked about all the shit you find at the bottom of the ocean in that deep dark water. You know, things that just look like blobs.
Oh, yeah.
Things that don't look like they're made of natural materials.
Are we saying I'm very excited about the prospect of what we might be saying here. Are we possibly saying
We are all aliens.
that there is alien life currently here on planet Earth? Gary is happy as a schoolboy right now.
I can't check this.
It looks just like he looked on Christmas, and I know we spend every Christmas together, don't we, Gary?
Mm-hmm,
Oh, back to the matter at hand. How about alien life on Earth?
You can sign me up. If I were running for president right now and you asked me a position and then you didn't want me to change it later, I would say that there is alien life on this Earth with us, with you and I.
Gary?
I don't know.
You're here to fact check, Gary.
Okay. I'm on it.
Get on it. Tard. Rich. Tard. Rich? Rich?
You can call me Rich.
Tard. Tard? Rich. Rich. Tard. Rich?
Okay, I just got some more information. And so some people say yes, and some people say no. So I'll try to get to the bottom of this, but it looks like a long journey.
Not a pants on fire. And not the opposite of what that is.
Sort of just pants. Not no pants, but not having pants and then being on fire.
That is correct. Now, we're going to take a short break real quick. We do have a word from our sponsor, Witch. Do you like writing on a bag?
Yeah.
You know I do.
Are you hungry?
Yep.
You know I am.
What's wrong with Jimmy John's?
That's
You can
not
try
good.
that or don't. Go to Witch. There we go. Now we're back to our program.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking news. Gary, are you excited still?
Yeah.
He is moving his tiny little feet up and down so fast. Gary.
They're moving me.
Just pitter-pattering, aren't you?
They're like my heart.
And Tard. Rich? I believe that's where we left off. Dr. Bop has weighed in on her position. Also, potentially announced a candidacy for president. We are breaking all kinds of... Gary!
God. Oh my God.
Gary, fact check this!
Oh my God.
It's happening now. This
Yep.
is
Oh, how do you fact
is
check
it.
what's happening in real time, Gary?
Okay.
You have my vote.
Well, thank you, and I hope it's unanimous in the room.
I'd vote for you.
Thank you.
Hands up.
President of the
vote
world.
Straight down the libertarian ticket. So I don't know what candidate you will be. I don't know what party you'll be. Shouldn't get political. This is a science show. But what I'd like is Rich or Tard or Rich to weigh in on whether or not the Earth is populated by alien creatures. Tard? Rich?
Go ahead, Rich.
I'd love to speak on this. You see, the aliens do exist. I'm saying that now. Gary, you can fact check that. But they're crafty. They're crafty. They've always been crafty. They always will be crafty. This is why none of them are running for president. No offense.
That's all right.
Very
They
presidential.
hide. They hide in the wooded areas, deep woods, backwoods. They also hide bottom of the ocean. I mentioned that blobfish. Definitely came from Neptune. I have certain reports that they are from Neptune. They appear they are the same hue as Neptune, and that's about all you need to know.
I'm going to cut in here for just a moment.
Hit him up, Tard.
Please do.
And now, putting aside the philosophical debate as to whether all life is or is not alien, unfortunately, nothing can exist on Neptune as the pressures are astronomically high.
Well,
Gary?
not anymore.
Gary?
Okay, so here's what I got. I'm looking up Neptune, and some people they think Atlantis might be in the Mediterranean Sea. They think it might be in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know. I think Rich could speak to that regarding the pressure on Neptune. Tard is totally right.
Thank you, Gary.
I loved the departure into a completely irrelevant discussion about Atlantis.
Well, I thought we were just. I was just checking all the facts.
Is Atlantis real?
Gary,
That's a great question.
Gary's doing a great job covering all the bases. Just leaving no stone unturned.
The truth will be found.
Some
No
say
ocean
stones
unflipped.
are alien.
Wow. Well, I must say, we do at the end of the show. We like to bring up a couple of news stories that have been appearing in various different sources and see what take you might have on this particular news story. One. It's been found that there is a man that has more cholesterol than his body weight. What do you think?
Oh, God. That's easy to believe.
In this America.
According to the laws of physics, it is an impossibility unless it exists in a parallel universe, so I would agree.
And Gary, true or false?
Gosh, it looks like Tard's going to take my job. He
That's
knows
right.
facts
That was,
without checking them.
that was a gotcha. That was fake news.
Oh,
That was a gotcha news story. There is no man that has more cholesterol than his entire body weight.
You got to believe in fake news in this America.
Doesn't stop me from liking hamburgers.
That's fair enough, Gary. Gary, you do like hamburgers, don't you?
love
You just
hamburgers.
suck them down.
Pepper jack, Swiss,
What
cheddar,
other cheeses do you
Those
put
are
on there?
types of cheese.
sometimes crumble feta.
Which brings us to our next next science news. A roll of Parmesan
My favorite.
was found to contain an enzyme that can stop toe stubbing in humans.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? I'd eat that cheese.
What do you
every
think?
day.
That's the name of the segment. What do you think?
Gary, you're probably stubbing those little toes of yours all over the place.
Oh, look at his little toes just going.
My feet just got a mind of my own.
I'd like to see if it could work in other animals.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Wow,
Bop
right on the
the
same
head.
page. There does seem to be some type of connection between you two.
Simpatico.
You start shooting things into space and you get a muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
I don't
is
even
one
know
of
how
the
to
most
take
important
that.
memories.
But I like it. It's turning me on. Okay, last news story. This one I promise is not fake. Time isn't real. What do you think?
Agree.
Now, are we talking about like the concept, the magazine?
The magazine. Time magazine is not real.
Because I've been thinking along those lines. I mean, they just seem to be full of bullshit. So I feel like it was a conspiracy, maybe. Oh, well, that's maybe too strong a word, but definitely a collusion by unseen forces to make us think that there's a respectable publication.
Sure.
Great.
I'm searching, I'm looking for the truth, and all I'm finding are a lot of Pink Floyd lyrics. I'm sorry.
Gary.
I'm sorry.
Gary, you're a good kid.
Ha.
You're a good kid, Gary. All right. Well, please join us next week when we will be having an interview with a lab rat that has had an implant placed into his brain that allows him to squeak without using his vocal cords. This has been Scientist. Science this. Remember to use the ampersand and the NPSB after your hashtag.
It checks.
Is that right, Gary?
It checks.
That checks out. Thank you, everyone.
That's going to do it for us this week. Bree, Tom, Max, and Asa are the welcoming. They perform the first Friday of every month at Voodoo Comedy Playhouse. They bring in guests from around the country. It's really, really great. So you should check that out when you're in Denver. You can check out more about them on Facebook at facebook.com/welcomingimprov. They will also be heading to the Omaha Improv Festival at the last weekend of May. And excitingly enough, my group, War Tiger, will be joining them. We are very excited. It is our first improv festival. Those guys, the welcoming, those guys have all been to festivals, but for us, it's our very first one, and we're very excited. And I believe you can check out more about that at omahaimprovfestival.com. You can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Brian Deershaw. That's BryanDierschow. Or on Facebook at Brian Deershaw Comedy. If you like the show, if you like what we're doing here, tell a friend. Tell 10 friends. Just spread the word. That's going to help us grow. Head on over to iTunes. Give us a good review. That'll help. Any little bit helps to help grow the show and make it sustainable for me to produce every week. I love to do it, but it is a time crunch. So we're working towards sustainability so that we can be here every week bringing you good comedy. This is your weekly reminder to take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go make something.